How do you use English in your everyday life, like at work, at school, or in social situations?
I use English in my everyday life to communicate with my family members, my friends, and the people I work with. I work with the elderly, so communication is very important with them. Also, raising my son, teaching him how to speak.
I use English in my everyday life by having conversations with family and friends and by reading books.
I think English is important because it is my form of communication. It's important to me in my everyday life because I don't know any other language. Working on French though.
I'm in a fast track program for public policy, so I write a ton of papers, and I'm also a supervisor at a grocery store, so I get a lot of angry customers, and knowing how to use my words to handle that situation more effectively is definitely thanks to the education I've had in English. And whenever there's a situation at work and I have to leave an email, knowing how to use my words concisely and to get my point across is very helpful because I come across more professionally, of course, and it stands out to my managers, which is important for any job in life.
As a future teacher, I am majoring in elementary education, but I do have an English minor. I believe that my English minor will be able to help me effectively teach students how to read and write. Likely the grades that I'll be teaching, students will have some ideas and know how to read and write, but I will also have to expand on these ideas regardless of what grade I teach. It's really important that I will be able to teach students at the elementary level things like characters and plot and narrative and be able to apply these concepts to whatever we're learning in the classroom. And I think that having an English minor just puts me a step ahead at being able to do these things. What is the first job that comes to mind when somebody says they have an English degree?
First off, I would think a writer, but I think of my mother. She's an English major and she was a teacher for a elementary school for some time, and then she was an editor at a children's magazine called Weekly Reader.
I think of an English teacher. My brother's girlfriend is an English teacher at Hartford High School. But I also think of people who are striving to write creatively. That's another thing that comes to my mind initially. I think of people who write poetry, who want to be journalists, write novels, playwrights.
The first job that comes to mind when I think of someone with majoring in English would be either an English teacher, a writer, a journalist.
The first thing I think of when somebody tells me that they have an English major is that they're going to be an English teacher.
I would say teacher.
Middle school English teacher.
An English teacher.
I think of an English teacher.
To be an English teacher.
A teacher for a elementary school.
Like we've heard, everybody assumes that those with English degrees are automatically going to teach, and I don't think we should be putting these pressures on people with English degrees because many of them don't want to teach, and there are so many different career paths and so much opportunity for those with English degrees. And just because a teacher like me, for example, has a minor in English doesn't mean that someone with an English degree or someone that's an English major has to take education courses unless that's a requirement. Many English majors probably don't want to do that, and I think that the pressure of making English majors feel as though they have to steer into the educational direction because there's a sense of security is wrong. So I was really happy to hear that other people had other ideas other than teaching for English degrees. If we supposedly can only be teachers, why do people believe that English degrees are so important?
I think an English major is a great major. I even use it in my job at a grocery store, and it helps me to stand out and be more professional.
I think especially nowadays that communication is really lacking, so I think English is very important.
I think English is a good subject to major in because if nobody was doing it, there would be no books coming out and there would be nobody else teaching other people how to speak English.
So I think English is a good major because it allows you to thoroughly and fluently get your point across.
In public policy, having to write a concise professional memo is extremely important, and I'm already starting to learn how to do that.
I think English is a good major because you have a lot of options. I think it's one of those degrees kind of like business where you can take it in a lot of different directions. I know that my mother had a variety of different roles that all came down to her basic skills in English, and I think that it opens up a lot of opportunities for people that can actually write, unlike me.
After hearing everybody's defense or worries about the English major, I thought that I would say my overall claim of the English major in defense of it. So I said that the English major can solely be appreciated and taken on by those who are fond of the impact of literature in relation to modern day issues. Those with an English degree are content with their role in society and accept that though jobs are scarce, their creativity and drive is worth the risk of unemployment, as their words matter. The English language and its applications to the world are most relatable to those with English degrees, who support all other majors when nobody seems to support theirs.